All right, here we go. 3.2. Yeah. All right. So here we go. 3.2, we're going to look at substitution and elimination method. So if you want to solve a system, so yesterday we did graphing, and today we're going to look at substitution and elimination. So we're going to end up with 3 different methods to do the same job. So if you want to use substitution, find an equation that looks like this, that you already have x equals or y equals. If you don't see one, you'll have to solve one equation for x or y. So once you get one of the x's or the y's alone, you circle it. And I found this isn't my handwriting by any means, but it says you can call this the blob. Then you'll substitute the blob into the other equation and solve it. Then once you get one letter, you plug it back into the blob to get the other value. So watch this. And again, this should be review. This is not new for you. So let's look at example 1. Do you see in the first equation that neither one, it's not solved for x or for y? But what I can do is I can take the first equation and I can add 3y to both sides. Now, this is what I'm going to substitute for the x value. And I've got to plug it into, not the first equation, because that's the one I manipulated for x. I'm going to go plug it into the second equation. So let me write the second equation. And be careful, this says take the opposite of x. Well, I have the opposite of 2 things now. So parentheses matter. If I'm taking the opposite of x, and x is 3y plus 2, I'm going to have to distribute the minus sign. Then, this is awesome because this is what we did in chapter 1. We reviewed solving equations with one variable. So here we go. I will use the distributive property and get negative 3y minus 2 plus 2y equals 5. Collecting like terms, I get negative y minus 2 equals 5. Add 2 to both sides, and I get negative y equals 7. I'm not looking for negative y, I'm looking for positive y. So I divide by negative 1. So y is negative 7. Then go back to your blob, and we can find x. You take 3 times negative 7 plus 2. Okay, if you always go back to the blob, you'll have it. This is x equals negative 21 plus 2, so x is negative 19. We talked yesterday, the solution is a point. So right now, I don't have my answer anywhere. I found the x and I found the y. How should I write the answer then when I'm done? How do I represent a point? Okay, so you're going to write negative 19 comma negative 7. It's a point. You're taking 2 lines and graphically it's where they intersect. All right, number 2. This one's kind of easy because I already had A, right? I have A is negative 2. So what do you need to do to find B? Plug it in. So you're going to make it negative 2 minus 3 times B equals 4. Okay, so all I'm doing is taking A is negative 2 and plugging it into the first equation. I'll add 2 to both sides so don't lose the minus sign. So it's negative 3b equals 6. Divide by negative 3, and b is negative 2. If the letters are not x and y, we do them alphabetically. So I'm going to make it A comma B, so it's negative 2 comma negative 2. All right, in the third one, when you look at the 4 letters, one of them has a 1 in front. So Brooke, which letter in which equation do you see a 1 in front of a letter?
The first one.
The first one, and it's the N. So what you're going to do is you're going to add 2m to both sides of the equation, and then that's going to be our blob. That's going to be what we substitute. So if you're asked, and on the quiz, we're going to have a quiz on Friday, and I do ask you to solve by substitution. You need to make sure that you are solving one of them for a letter. Now I'm going to plug that back into the second equation. So I make that negative 7m plus 6 times the quantity, 2m plus 6. Notice the parenthesis, because this is saying 6 times n. Well, if n becomes a sum, I need to take 6 times the sum. So that's negative 7m plus 12m plus 36 equals 1. Then we know how to solve this. This is 5m plus 36 equals 1. Oops, I'm thinking of my answer already. Subtract 36, and I get 5m equals negative 35. So m is negative 7. So go back up to the blob where I have n equals 2m plus 6, and let's go plug in that m is negative 7. So that's negative 14 plus 6, which is negative 8. We always write the answer to a system as an ordered pair, where they intersect. So you're going to do it alphabetically, and it's going to go negative 7, comma, negative 8. All right, what questions do you have so far? Is this coming back to you? Do you remember it from Algebra 1? Awesome. All right, try number 4, use substitution. In number 4, when you scan through your letters for substitution, you want to do one of them that has a 1 in front of the variable. So in the second equation, the x has a 1, so I subtracted 2y, and I'm going to call that my blob, or what I'm substituting. So it's 7 times negative 2y plus 12 minus 3y equals negative 1. So that's what? Negative 14y plus 84 minus 3y equals negative 1. Negative 17y equals negative 85. I got y is positive 5. Go to the blob. Negative 2 times 5 plus 12. That's negative 10 plus 12 is 2. Always write your answer when it's intersecting in a point as an ordered pair. All right, what questions do you have on that? All right, show me thumbs up, out, down. How do we feel about substitution? Can I see more thumbs? All right, cool. All right, elimination method. And I put a box here for you. If you want to use the elimination method, step 1, multiply one or both sides of the equation by a constant to get one pair of coefficients that are the same but opposite signs. Add them together and it's going to eliminate one of the letters. So that's why it's called the elimination method. Then solve for the remaining variable. Substitute what you get into either one of the two original. Write your solutions as an ordered pair. All right, when you're ready, flip the page and let's do a few practice problems. So in number 5, you can either get rid of the x or the y. It doesn't matter. We'll get the same answers eventually. I'm going to take the bottom row and multiply it by a -3. Okay, I'm going to take, and then, just stay with me here if you're a little bit confused. I'm going to just rewrite the first equation. Okay, I'm taking the first equation, and then I'm going to rewrite the second equation where I have multiplied by -3. And what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of x. I just chose x at random. And so if I have 3x, I can multiply the bottom one by -3x. So when I add these, I eliminate the x. All right, so I get 11y equals -44. Divide by 11, and y is -4. All right, then you pick either equation. It does not matter which one you choose. I'm going to pick the second one, and I'm going to plug in that y is -4. So I said x minus 3 times -4, so that's x plus 12 equals 9. Subtract 12, and I get x is -3. Now here's a beautiful connection to what we talked about yesterday. Before you move on, you should do a mental check. These should work in both the first and the second equation. If they don't, you've made a mistake, and you can go figure it out, okay? All right, try 6, 7, and 8 on your own, because I think you do remember these. You pick either letter to get rid of. Now you might be finding something weird in number 7 and 8, and we'll talk about those in a moment, but you can still figure out your solution. in number 6, I took and multiplied the top row by 2 and the bottom one by 5, and I got 10f plus 8m equals 12. The most common mistake I see over the years is that students forget to multiply the number on the right side. For some reason, it's really common. Here I'm going to get negative 10f minus 15m equals negative 5. So, and this is not the only way. You could have multiplied the top row by 3 and the bottom row by 4. Okay, that works as well. So when I add them, I get negative 7m equals 7. So m is negative 1. Then I just chose the top row. And when I plug in 4 times negative 1, that's minus 4. So 5f is 10. So f is 2. So now we're going to write it alphabetically. So that'll be 2 comma negative 1. You always do it alphabetically. All right, questions on that one? Yeah, there.
Why are you multiplying the top by 2 and not by 5? Like, I'm confused.
Okay, so the goal here is we're trying to eliminate a letter, correct? If I multiply the top one by 5, what's 5 times 5f? 5 times 5 is 25, right? And if I multiply the bottom one by 5, that's negative 10. They're not the same. I'm trying to get them so that they're the same, but one of them's a positive and one's a negative. So if I multiply the top one by 5, then they're not going to match up. Yeah?
Why didn't you plug in 7 for m when you did 5f minus 4? Like, where's that equation from?
I'm coming for the top one, and I didn't get 7 for m.
No, I'm sorry. I meant f. Wait, I'm so confused.
Okay, I went up to the top row, and I said 5f plus 4m equals 6. But m is negative 1. So I said 5f, and then plus 4 times negative 1 would be just a minus 4 instead of plus a negative.
Never mind.
Okay. All right, in number 7, do you see I can get away with just multiplying the top row instead of both? Because if I multiply the top row by 2, that's going to give me a 6x. Then the variables drop out, both of them. Negative 6x plus 6x is not 1, it's not x, it's 0. And 4y plus negative 4y is 0. When this happens, when the variable drops out, it's either going to be true or false. This one's false, so in our special cases, what kind of lines are they if it is false? Now, what do the lines look like? They're parallel, right? This, when the variables drop out and it's false, it's no solution. And graphically speaking, they're parallel lines. Okay, they are parallel lines. In number 8, I multiplied the top row by 5, and I got negative 10x minus 20y equals 10. Ooh, something interesting happened here. And I got both sides to cancel. And I got 0 equals 0. What does this mean? Infinitely many. Beautiful. The two lines coincide. So this is infinitely many solutions. It means the two lines are in fact the same. All right, so let's see a word problem example. So this is like our 3rd time to really talk about this. We did it in the notes yesterday, the homework, and now we're talking about it in the notes today. To raise money for new football uniforms, your school sells silk screen t-shirts. Short sleeve t-shirts cost the school $5 each and are sold for $8 each. So it's how much you're purchasing them and how much you're selling them for. The school spends a total of $2,500 on t-shirts, but sells them for $4,200. How many of the short sleeve t-shirts are sold? So, what are the two things we don't know? There's two things we don't know here. What are they?
How many shirts are sold?
Yeah, how many shirts? So we're going to let X be the number of short sleeve shirts, and we'll let Y be the number of long sleeve shirts, okay? So watch this. The short sleeve cost the school $5, and the long sleeve cost the school $7. So 5X plus 7Y, and the school spent $2,500. Then they sold them. They sold the long sleeve for $8, the long sleeve for $12, and they brought in $4,200. Just because of time, we're not going to go ahead and solve this, but you could, right? You could multiply and do elimination method. All right, on the last two, I want you to choose. Which method do you want to use? You can choose either substitution or elimination. So would that give you 0? Yeah. So in letter A, if I multiply the top row by a -3, that's going to give me -3x plus 6y equals -12. So that 0 equals -4. So don't leave 0 equals -4. You want to write down that it's no solution. Now, for some of you, you've got really good number sense. If I look at 4 and 14, they both go into 28. And for others of you, you're like, whoa, how did you get 28? If you're in the second group, you can take the top row times 14 and the bottom one by 4. The numbers are just bigger, and it's okay. But I can tell 4 and 14 have 28 in common. So I'm going to multiply the top row by 7 and the bottom row by 2. So if you see it with me, go this route. Otherwise, you can take the top by 14 and the bottom by 4. That works every time. But if we've got some good number sense, we can come up with our common multiples. And this one, I got 0 equals 0, which means infinitely many. The last page is just a summary. Okay, that last page is merely a summary